That's me, and those guys are players from UP Yoda, a professional team that plays the Indian sport of Kabaddi.
The defence has picked up 8 points. Has come back because this is a do-or-die raid, and it is done and dusted.
With Shrikant Jadhav perhaps, but Visham Devadiga has been the choice, and he has struggled.
Kabaddi is the second most watched sport in India and is even growing internationally. So what's all the buzz about? How do you play it?
Kabaddi is played on a 13 by 10 metre court and is separated into two halves by a midline. The game is played between two teams made up of 7 players each. The teams alternate between raiding and defending. The raider's objective is to go to the other half of the court, tap one or more of the defenders and return safely within 30 seconds. However, the raider must start repeatedly saying Kabaddi before he crosses the midline and can't stop repeating this word until he crosses back over to his team's side. If he stops saying Kabaddi on the opponent's side of the court even for a split second, he is out. He picks up 1 point for each defender he touches, but he must also avoid being tackled to keep the points. This is difficult as he can face between 1 and 7 defenders at the same time. The defenders have to work together as a unit, avoid the raider's tap, and failing that, stop him from returning. Defenders get 1 point for a successful tackle. Any player that steps or is forced out of the court is then eliminated. UP Yoda represents the northern state Uttar Pradesh. The team is in its second season in the Pro Kabaddi League, and Rishank Devadiga is the team's captain.
So Kabaddi is all about a body contact game. It's basically like a rugby game. And we have to be strong, we have to be fit, mentally fit and also agile on the mat.
For you, when you play in one of these Pro Kabaddi matches, what's the atmosphere like? How much pressure is there on you, particularly as the captain?
When Pro Kabaddi started, we were told to face the camera, the audience and everything. It was a bit nervous at the starting, but now we enjoy the atmosphere, we enjoy the matches what we play.
Kabaddi as a professional sport is a relatively new thing. Until recently, it's been seen as more of a hobby only played outside the cities.
Kabaddi was looked at as a rural rustic sport. It was a sport that was not embraced by urban India, completely overlooked the sport. The settings of the sport was such that it used to be played on dusty bowls.
Dusted. Yet again, that same
Kabaddi on television, completely unheard of. Why would somebody watch it? How are they going to present it? And that was what aggregated people to come and sample the sport. In other sports, in cricket, for example, you have to wait for a 4 or a 6 or when a wicket falls. That is the high point. In soccer or football, it's a goal. Similarly, in hockey. In Kabaddi, every 30 seconds is a high point. It has got potential of either being a successful raid or being a successful tackle.
The idea behind the Pro Kabaddi League, or PKL, started back in 1994. However, it wasn't until 2014, 20 years later, that a broadcaster, Star Sports, came on board. The Pro League, now in its 5th year, has seen considerable growth in both investment and audience numbers. From 2016 to 2017, the PKL increased its viewership in India by almost 100 million. And while it's still second to India's premier T20 cricket competition, the Indian Premier League, domestically the Pro Kabaddi League is more popular than the FIFA World Cup, one of the world's most watched sporting events. Investment in the league has also increased. In 2017, Star Sports signed the biggest sponsorship deal in India for a non-cricket sport, worth more than $40 million. As a result, player salaries have also increased. Following the 2016 player auction, the highest paid player was on just under $130,000. This year, it's $210,000. For team owners and stakeholders in the sport, more investment will help attract more young players to the game.
What ultimately a sport stands on, or what does it do for its players? So what we have been able to do is to make Kabaddi at least aspirational for sports lovers in India. Player salaries have gone up and they definitely see themselves in the front line of the committee of sports persons in India, and that which means that increasingly being a Kabaddi athlete will become a viable career. That is at the heart of any sport.
There are also signs of the sport growing outside India. At this year's Asia Games, neither the men or women's India Kabaddi teams won gold, and the men's team didn't even make it to the final, something that caught the world's attention.
Of course, we as a country lost, which is bad for me as a fan. But then from a game of Kabaddi, it's a ultimate manifestation of how the game is growing. There are 2 to 3 more teams who are on any day, depending on the performance, are able to beat country like India, where the game was developed and grown.
So when a raider touches a defender, it's done on an honesty policy. So the defender will say, yes, I've been touched, and for a professional sport, that's pretty impressive.
However, that's where the pleasantries end. This isn't a sport for the faint-hearted.
Most of them are carrying injuries. One person has a finger that is bent that way.
Would you like to play with us?
Okay. So, got all the kit on. I'm actually really nervous.
But first, I need to warm up.
That was just the warm-up. I've seen that.
Warm up over, it's now time to play, and unsurprisingly, I'm picked to be the first raider.
Straight in. Perfect. I'm exhausted. Understand a thing, but raid again.
So, my raiding wasn't great, but maybe I'll be better at defending.
I'm done. So tired. Holy hell. Thank you. That is not easy. Kabaddi is a serious sport. Hi guys, thanks for watching our video on Kabaddi. If you want to see more of our content, then check out these and comment below the video to let me know what you think of my Kabaddi skills. And remember, don't forget to subscribe.